Okay, before I get too far into this, let me just say some of the positive things and why I'm giving a reaction video to this game. 8 or 9 hours ago this morning, it is Saturday when I'm recording this, they released a lot of information about the game Marathon made by Bungie, same people who made Halo, Destiny, a company I have a lot of faith in. I love both of those franchises a whole lot. So while I give my opinion on all of the information released about this game this morning, I'm going to play this Love, Death, Robots type of animated film they put out for the universe of this game in the background. I thought it looked really cool. I think it's worth looking at. But one of the things they did do is release a bunch of actual gameplay conducted by a lot of the content creators they invited out, played against each other in a close setting to really show off what this game is about. A lot of it looked good, but my overall consensus with the franchise of Marathon is negative. I've got some of this gameplay footage coming from some they released earlier yesterday morning. It's Sunday, the time I'm recording this for me, and I want to give some of my thoughts and first impressions on who this game is for. All right, what you're looking at right now is footage released on Saturday of Bungie's new take on the extraction shooter called Marathon. This is a team of 3 hero type extraction shooter where you pick your runner and you go into an area that has a lot of security. You're fighting security to bring out different assets and extract them and keep them and use them for your next game. The standard gameplay loop for an extraction shooter. While although that might not be my specific taste in games, it has found some success in other games like Tarkov. Delta Force is kind of struggling to keep on to their little grasp on that. DMZ from Call of Duty tried to do that. It had a little bit of success there. But I want to be kind of overly critical of this game because I've been seeing a lot of praise for it on social media, and to be brutally honest, I don't see this game lasting more than 2 months. And let me tell you why. This game seems stiff. A low graphical feel to it. I know a lot of people are saying art style is the reason for that, and I actually am a fan of this art style. When you're using an art style to express the universe of the game you're making, that means that you had more time to work on gameplay loop or something to make it unique. The guns look like they feel meaty, responsive, they shoot well. The movement has been compared to that of a Bethesda game like Fallout. I don't know if it's that crazy. I just don't know if we've had enough people get enough hands-on with it to show how well the movement can be. But again, it's an extraction shooter. I don't know how important movement is. It's a selling point for me. If it looks stiff, I'm not going to play it, so maybe it is pretty important. But the biggest thing for me in an extraction shooter in 2025 is going to be console and controller support. Every single person who plays video games either plays on keyboard and mouse or controller. 80% of that audience is on controller. I play on PC. I understand this even being on this platform. That is just a truth of the matter, and the big mistake I think people have made in the extraction shooter space is they've focused on keyboard and mouse exclusively. But as you see here, in part of this, there's got to be somewhere where he goes through the loot system. They drop backpacks here. Here's a good example. You go in, and if you take a look at this, this does not scream to me controller friendly. I know you could probably have that circle thing like they do in Apex, and you can drag and drop. But this screams to me a drop in the bucket. Another like fish in the ocean. It's an oversaturated market, and this seems like they're going down the exact same route. This screams to me keyboard and mouse oriented. Audiences that play Tarkov or Delta Force is struggling with this issue right now. They have no controller support, so they're pulling from Tarkov's player base. There was some Wargrounds game that came out that was good for a week. It was like a flavor of a week. The only extraction shooter mode I've ever seen that was console oriented was DMC, but that seemed to flop as well too. So I don't know what the obsession is with these game studios with extraction shooters, but I could be wrong, and that could just mean there hasn't been a good enough one to come along yet, and this game could do it. I could be wrong. But in order to do that, you have to take advantage of that 80% of the player base that has a controller in their hands. You have to. There's no way you're going to be pulling from the keyboard and mouse community that's already oversaturated with things like Tarkov and other extraction shooters that are already there. You're going to get a percentage of that already small player base to come to your game, and that's going to be your majority player base that you're supporting. Not going to be a recipe for success. Now, they are marketing this game as a console-heavy game, so they list Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and then they list PC. But as you see here, this does not look like a controller-oriented or controller-first interface. Does it have to be? No. I think Apex is a good example of a interface that works for both, the little drag and drop things. Now, there was a debate with even that when you are looting, you're at a complete disadvantage on a controller. So I don't know what you're going to want to do. Every game in 2025 needs to be cross-platform, or you're not going to have enough people getting it to play with each other. So that's an issue it looks like they're going to have, and that looting interface screams to me, hey, we're going to come out and make the same mistake these other extraction shooters have as well, and push for just mainly keyboard and mouse players, which is like 30% of the gaming player base. I want to be critical of this game because I want this game to do well. I love Bungie, I love Halo, I love Destiny, but I'm just wondering who this game is for. And if you're a AAA studio that's kind of floundering to find, you haven't done anything with Destiny in years, trying to find your footing in the space again, if you're trying to find a percent, like you want to get 70% of Tarkov's player base and that's your push to make a big AAA game again, I just don't see how that's a recipe for success. Now, it comes out in September in an alpha state, but it's really the release date. It's going to come out in an alpha state and then get updated from there. Like, from what I've heard, it's not going away after the alpha's release, so that is pretty much the hard release date. I call it a release date with excuses, because it's an alpha, but it's their full release, because they can hide behind the fact that it's an alpha. So that little thing where the little wheel where you select hotkeys, that could help. I don't know. It could be completely different when it comes out. They could be showcasing the keyboard and mouse aspects of it. That's what they gave these content creators to show off the game. So maybe the UI looks completely different on controller. I could be completely wrong. But that screams to me that they're making the same mistake. Even so, even if it does have good controller support, I'm still worried this game does well. Because like I said, the burnout on extraction shooters is very real. Like the burnout for battle royales is still very real as well. Who is asking for this? I like the revival of the Marathon franchise. This Marathon, if you didn't know, was Bungie's first FPS game back in the mid-90s, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool that they're reviving it. Bungie's a really good storytelling franchise. The lore behind Destiny, the lore behind Halo, some of the best lore in video game history. So I'm interested to see what they do with a franchise like this that is probably so close to their core. If in the very least, I'm just excited to watch a 2-hour-long YouTube video on someone else explaining to me what the lore is behind this game, because if there's something I could bet on this game doing well, it's probably the universe around this game. I'm just worried about the gameplay and the gameplay loop. Another criticism I have from the game that I've seen, the gameplay I've seen, everything kind of looks the same. Now, the graphics are something people have been giving criticisms about. People are saying it's the art style. Now, I do actually like the art style, and I think that's a legitimate defense against criticism with the graphics here. The art style is very advanced Minecraft cyberpunk-y, which allows you to cut corners as a dev studio on some aspects graphically. I saw at one point someone threw like a smoke grenade type of thing, and it's just a half circle that you walk in and out of, really hard lines. Whether it's an art style or not, if you're a dev studio, that's easier to design than a dynamic smoke cloud. So whether you want to admit it or not, this art style is letting you cut some corners as a dev team. What that should mean is that the gameplay look and feel of the game should be that much better. I'm pretty sure this has been in development since 8 years ago, like 2018, 2019 from what I've heard. Could be wrong. 8 years of development. There's no excuse as a AAA studio that those should be lacking, especially if your art style allows for you to cut some corners in the way the game looks. So if this game comes out and it's kind of cookie cutter dry, just kind of blocky, the art style is the only thing that sets it apart from other extraction shooters, there's no question about it, whether you want it to or not, it's going to die. Especially if you don't have a good enough controller and console support. It is going to die. Don't get your hopes up and then be crushed when we're in a year from now we're going, remember Marathon? What happened to that game? Again, I could be wrong. They do market it like it's going to be big on consoles, but I think that's what they need to focus on. Now, talking about the art style, everything looks like foggy and unsaturated to me. I think they need to kind of up the saturation, if anything, because of the art style. The map feels like the same thing over and over with different assets. You need to add some character to the POIs. If you're playing an extraction shooter like this, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And if different parts of the map don't have a unique feel to it, then you're going to get bored very quickly. Like, you're just walking through the same simulation with different assets over and over again. I did see they were going to add some unique events and stuff. I think they do the same thing in Destiny. I remember those. They did not add anything special to me. Maybe they did to you, but I don't think that's to be good enough. You need to add some personality to the maps and environment. The lore in general has some personality, but there needs to be more vibrance and more variety in the environment here, because it seems way too consistent for something that is an extraction shooter that is going to get repetitive by its nature. That's one of my biggest criticisms too. People are saying the movement looks stiff. They compared it to a Bethesda game. I think in this gameplay footage, I saw some people slide. There's some dash abilities between two of the classes. So I don't think that criticism holds much ground. I just don't think that people who have submitted gameplay to YouTube for people to watch know the game enough to showcase its movement. And so I don't think that's going to be much of an issue as people are making it out to be. But I still think that the console support and world building here, the map, are going to be the biggest issues. And like I said at the very beginning, who this is made for. I just don't know if there's a big enough audience for this to be, see, there's a slide right there, for this to be the game that gets Bungie's foot into the AAA space again. Again, I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. There could be things I don't know about this game that make it super appealing, but I just don't think the extraction shooter appeal player base is bigger than the total player count on Steam for Tarkov. So, unfortunately, I don't foresee this game being something someone talks about in a year and a half. But I hope I'm wrong. Let me know if you hope I'm wrong or if you agree with me. Thank you for watching, and I hope Marathon succeeds, but I don't think it will. See ya.